Hello, boys and girls. All right, we're diving into 13.2 today. Subtracting fractions with unlike denominators on page 253. Make sure your notes are out and you are following along. I'm switching pens because the green one is just not working for me today. It's just not having fun. Okay, so it says read and try to solve the problem below. We've got a couple different ways that we can solve it, and I'm going to show you both so that you are aware of how to do it. All right, so the first way to do it. Now, you know what? I'm going to show you with fraction bars first. Watch out. All right, so I've got, he has 2/3 pints of water. So I'm going to draw that out first. 2/3. Okay, if I've got 2/3, I'm going to break this up into thirds because that's my denominator, and I'm going to shade in 2. I've got my lovely little pink highlighter here. Okay. He drinks a half a pint. How much water is left in the bottle? So can I, for a half a pint, he's drinking this much. So I'm going to divide these up into 2 each because that's 1/2. So 1/2. What happens is it turns it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If they are eating a half of this is 3. So I can take away 3 of them, and I am left with 1 out of 6. And that's my answer, 1/6 pint. You can also do it like this. I've got 2/3. Okay. And I've got a half. They're the same on each side, and I've got a half. How would I make those be equal? So in order to do that, 2/3 and a half, I've got a 3 here and a 2 here, which means that my multiple is 6. So I can turn them both into sixths. And if I started with this, that means that I can take away 1, 2, 3 because I'm taking away this half. So I would take away the 3 up here and still be left with this. That's basically what it's saying. But sometimes you might need this extra one for your brain to be like, okay, what am I taking away? All right, so there's the first one. Moving on down here, we've got some number trains that we're going to do. So I have 2/3, that's what we're starting with, and we're taking away a half. All right, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. I've got 3, 6. There is my common denominator, so I'm going to turn them both into 6. So 2/3 turns into how many sixths, and 1/2 turns into how many sixths? So this would be 3 times 2 equals 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. And then 2 times 3 equals 6, so 1 times 3 equals 3. So now I've got 4, 6 minus 3. 6 gives me 1/6. That's the other way that you can do it. All right, boys and girls, make sure you have it in there. Turning the page. All right, so same problem, but we've got the picture and we've got the model it. So it looks like they actually gave us water bottles to picture it, which is really nice. So he's got 2/3. So 2 of the 3 spaces are filled in. Gavin drinks a half though. So it says that we use common denominators to figure this out. So this is actually 4/6. See, if we found the common denominators, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is actually 3/6. So now the water bottle is marked to show the sixths. So if we started with 4/6 and we're taking away 3/6, which is what they did here, instead of crossing it off, so 1, 2, 3, you're left with this bottom one down here, which is 1/6. Or you can use our number lines, which are our favorite, right, guys? Okay, so we've got a number line. It looks like they started off just with 6 because they know that 6 is our common denominator. So they've got 0 starting and 1 on this side. And they divided it into sixths because that's what we're doing. So they started 1, 2, 3, 4. They started with 4/6 and they're taking away 3/6. So 1, 2, 3, and they land here, which is 1/6. That's how they did that one. So we're going to connect those. It says, look at the picture and then model it from the previous page. Why is 2/3 rewritten as 4/6 and why is 1/2 written as 3/6? So they're written like that because they need a common denominator in order to subtract. And why are sixths chosen? So they're chosen because when we do our number trains, so for example, what was it? 2, 4, 6, and 3, 6. 6 is the first one that comes up. So sixths are chosen because it's the least common denominator. Do you guys feel like we're writing the word denominator a lot? Use 6 as a common denominator. Write an equation to show the difference between 2/3 and 1/2. So it says we have to use 6 as a common denominator. So 2/3, remember, is written as 4/6. So we're going to take that and write 4/6. And 1/2, or minusing the half, is 3/6, remember, up here. So we get 1/6. How much water is left in the bottle? 1/6. Could you have subtracted with a different common denominator? Now, do you guys remember that 6 is not the only denominator that we could use? So if we kept this train going, we'd have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15. If we take 3 and go out, we've got 3, 6, 9, 12. We could also use 12. So let's try that one. So if we have, our original problem is 2/3 minus 1/2. So if I have 2/3 and I want to turn that into 12ths, I can do that. And if I have 1/2, I can also turn that into 12ths. So that being said, what did I multiply 3 by to get to 12? I multiplied it by 4, so this one turns into an 8. What did I multiply 2 by to get to 12? That one turns into a 6 because I multiplied by 6, and 1 times 6 is 6. So now I've got 8/12 minus 6/12. So 8 minus 6 leaves me with 2/12. And you're going to say, Miss Sanders, that's not the right answer because 1/6 and 2/12 technically don't have the same numbers. However, they are the same answer. And they are because, all right, guys. So when I'm looking at 2/12, what I notice about this is not the smallest form or simplest form of the number. 2 and 12 can both get smaller. Now I have to think to myself, what could I divide them both by to make them smaller? Because you have to divide them both by the same number, and I can divide both of those by 2. So what would that give me? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So, in fact, this is the correct answer. You can do it with this too. But when you use a bigger denominator, you're going to have to do this at the end, find your least common denominator, versus just finding it in the beginning. So how do we subtract fractions with unlike denominators? First thing we do, find, and I'm just going to put CD, common denominator, make life easy. 2. Once we find the common denominators, we subtract the numerator. And that's it. All right, cross off 7. We are going to apply it now. It's my favorite part because now we get to use all the things that we've learned about subtracting fractions and figure it out with different numbers. So what am I going to do with this one? I've got a couple different options here, ladies and gentlemen. I can do it the regular way. I can do it with some number lines. I could do it with some, I think in this case, I feel like I want to do this with the regular numbers because 8 and 6, sometimes those numbers don't like to play well together. So what am I going to do? 13. Hang on one second, guys. I'm getting a little crazy here. All right. So I need to find 8 and 6, the number lines. So 8 turns into 16. The 8 can also turn into, what would be next, 24. And I know that 6 has a common denominator with 24, but I'm just going to write it out. So I've got 6, 12, 18, 24. So I'm going to use 24 for this denominator. So now I've got 7/8 minus 1/6. I'm going to turn those both into 24s and see what I get. So 6 times something equals 24. 6 times 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. 8 times 3 is 24. And 7 times 3 is 21. So now I've got a new problem. I've got 21 minus 4. And that gives me 17/24. And that's my answer. Okay, moving on. Emily's shelf is 3/4 foot wide. Her clock is 2/3 foot wide. How much wider is her shelf than her clock? Show your work. So this is her shelf. I'm going to draw this one out. So I've got fourths. 1, 2, 3. And her clock is 2/3 foot. So I'm going to make them the same. And I'm going to draw thirds. So 1, 2, 3. All right. So this is 2/3. What this is telling me is I'm taking this and taking away this. So technically I need to figure out what is this space right here. Now, how would we figure that out? Well, it looks like 4 and 3 would have 12 as my common denominator because 3 times 4 is 12. So I'm going to take the 4 and turn that into 12. So there's going to be 3 in each one. And down here, there's going to be 4 in each one of these to make it 12. One, two. Okay. So what does that mean? It looks like I've got how many 12ths up here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 12ths up here. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 12ths down here. So I'm taking this and subtracting this. That would give me 1/12. 12 foot. Don't forget that part. It's important. Okay. And lastly, let's say I've got 9/12 and 3/5. So with this one, I'm going to do 9/10, which means that this has got to be broken up into 10. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'm going to shade in 9. I'm going to do it with my pink highlighter. Okay, now we're going to take 3/5 away. But 3/5 would be a lot more in ninths, or in tenths, because I can turn that into tenths. So how many would that be in tenths? So I'm going to, if I have 3/10, if I had fifths, this would be a fifth, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I'm going to take away 2 each. So this would be a fifth, this would be a fifth, this would be a fifth. So this would leave me with 1, 2, 3 tenths. All right. The other way you can do this one, 9/10 minus 3/5. I know I can turn my 5 into a 10. So this one turns into 10, 6. So now I've got 9/10 minus 6/10 equals 3/10. Same thing. All right, boys and girls. You are on your own for the next page. Let us know if you need any help. And yeah, bye.